Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, two extraordinarily influential Christian conservative voices, have been notably espousing pretty anti-Israel viewpoints.
Well, guys, please do not leave. Please give me a long duration on this because this is important. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are being shunned by many so-called Christian pastors. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are becoming, I guess, a problem for Christians because of their rhetoric and speaking about certain matters that do concern the country. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens definitely know what to do, like to, grab attention and tell people what's going on. And I don't think that they're doing anything wrong. But in this video, we're going to see how Christians, man, I don't know what's going on. It is disappointing to watch. So you already got my bias feelings on it. But Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are going to get pretty much if they could excommunicate them from Christianity, I think these people would. It's kind of scary to watch. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Espousing pretty anti-Israel viewpoints. Well, Meyers, co-founder and chairman of Arise, is here to discuss. So, Kalev, what do you make about this recent turn of, influential conservative voices kind of coming against Israel?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it's important to look at this in proportion, right? Because depending on who you ask, there's 400 to 600 million evangelical Christians around the world that love Israel, support Israel, pray for Israel every day. So these might be, you mentioned Tucker and Candace. I'm sure there's others that are influential voices, but they're only two people. And I don't think that there's a huge movement behind them. I think they're on the fringe of Christendom when it comes to supporting Israel. But I would say beyond that, I feel bad for Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, because I think people who espouse anti-Israeli views today are missing out on a big blessing and missing out on a big picture of who God is and his character. If I was to ask you what is the most read portion of the Bible taught in schools around the world, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you were to ask me,
16
could be. I'd think the 10 Commandments, right? Because whether you're Jewish.
Okay. Before we get there, I want to introduce you to Meyers, okay? Because it is very important that you know who you're listening to. I just went ahead and, looked him up myself because I said maybe, this is some guy who, some Christian or something. But it is not. Meyers is an Israeli, Jewish, lawyer and author. And so this is the guy, Arise, Alliance to Reinforce Israel's Security, Economy, and Voice of Freedom, fighting for hostages held by Hamas, Yehuda, Revev, whatever. Okay, so this is the guy who's going to now tell Christians, and he relies on the support of evangelical Christians, which I myself am evangelical Christian, to pray for Israel every day. This is the guy who's going to lecture Christians. Real quick, the term evangelical does not mean pray for Israel. While we have this here, evangelical meaning, okay? Of or according to teaching of the gospel of Christian or the Christian religion, a member of the evangelical tradition of Christian church. But what does it mean to evangelize? And we're going to get back to, just bear with me, y'all. Don't, please. If ever there were a time, convert or seek to convert someone to Christianity. That's what evangelical Christian is supposed to mean. It's supposed to mean bringing people to Christ, not praying for Israel every day. We're going to listen to this foreign Jew who is going to now tell Christians how they should react. Don't worry about those two influential voices, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. We rely on you dumb evangelical Christians to continue to bless Israel so that you will be blessed. And peep the question and the answer. What is the most important verse in the Bible? The other guy, he answered it correctly, John 3:16. This one says the 10 Commandments. I'm going to come back to that.
Or Christian or Muslim or whatever, most people learn the 10 Commandments because it's the basis of our legal system in Western societies and et cetera. Now, at the beginning of the 10 Commandments, in Exodus 20, verse 2, it starts like this: I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. Now let's, you and I, if we believe that the Bible is the inspired word of God and it's God giving a message to mankind, right? And he knew that the Ten Commandments would be one of the most read portions of the Bible throughout history of all humanity. Why would he begin it by saying, I'm the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt? What does that statement mean? And then that statement is repeated another 87 times in the Tanakh, which is, the Old Testament. Whenever God wants to say something very important to the people of Israel and get their attention, I'm the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. I'm the Lord of God who did the 10 plagues and split the Red Sea and all these amazing miracles. So you want to listen to what I have to say, right? And including both the Old and New Testaments, God identifies 140 times as the God who brought us out of Egypt. I think he does that because it says something special about his character, right? What does it say? That I'm the God that what? You can fill in the blanks. I'm the God who saves. I'm the God who redeems, right? I'm the God who hears the call of injustice and sends somebody to do something about it. I think that would all be correct. But it's interesting to note that it says twice in the Bible, verbatim. So it's like double emphasis. Once in Jeremiah 23:7 and once in Jeremiah 14:60. A day is coming where they will no longer call me the God who brought the the children of Israel out of Egypt, but the God who brought the descendants of Israel from the north country and all the nations back to their land. In other words, a day is coming that they're not going to call me anymore the God that did that, but the God that did this. The regathering of the Jewish people from 95 nations around the world back to the land of Israel after 2,000 years of dispersion, after 2,000 years, thousands of years of not speaking Hebrew as their first language, right? This is a completely unprecedented miracle. It's not just a miracle of biblical proportions. It's a miracle by which God identifies himself in the world today.
But this is why Christians should not take their teachings from Jews. Yes, I'm coming out and saying it. And I ask God to bless this episode, to make it go to the farthest and highest, views. Guys, please don't forget the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. And I'm going to show you the type of, rhetoric that Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens is using that is making these people scared. But I just want to answer that part. This guy hates Jesus Christ, and it's just simply a fact. Yes, I do follow the Old Testament, and God did bring out Beni Israel, yes, the children of Israel, not some random people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. Yes, the Hebrews, they were brought out of Egypt. But today, when we take the covenant with Christ, okay, we all become, the church is Israel. And so the fool that's interviewing this guy, he sits there and he's like, yeah. So they're calling it biblical proportions that a bunch of Ashkenazis or, different tribal people are saying that they're Jewish and that they're coming back to, Israel. So we're going to kill, the Palestinians, right? They're saying, that this is something good. We should watch this happen. And this is what God wanted. The prophecies are fulfilling themselves. What this man just did to you is absolutely blasphemous. And I mean, again, why is he on a Christian network? Jews don't love Christ, period. I am not censoring myself when I say that. They can do whatever they want with me. I don't care. I'm going to make that very clear. Now, coming back to it, I want you to hear the type of rhetoric, simple rhetoric that these people are using. And what is it that works up these people to hate them so much? Why?
Do you think that it's just interesting because what you're now describing in a very defensive way, I will say, is foreign influence over our politics.
No.
And you began, and it's so transparently obvious to everybody. I don't know why you would be embarrassed of it. You've said that you are sincerely for Israel. I believe you. I don't think you have some weird agenda. You seem to be sincere.
By the way, Tucker, it's a very weird thing. The obsession with Israel. When we're talking about foreign countries,
it's hardly an obsession.
You're not talking about Chinese. You're not talking about Japanese. You're not talking about the Brits. You're not talking about the French. The question, what about the Jews? What about the Jews?
Oh, I'm an anti-Semite now.
Senator, you're asking the questions, Tucker. You're asking, why are the Jews controlling our foreign policy?
Senator,
that's what you just asked.
Hardly saying that, and I have.
That is exactly what you just said.
Well, actually, I can speak for myself and tell you what I am saying.
Good.
On behalf not simply of myself, but of my many Jewish friends who would have the same questions, which is to what extent, and it's interesting you're trying to derail my questions by calling me an anti-Semite, which you are.
I did not.
Of course you are. And rather than be honorable enough to say it right to my face, you are in a sleazy feline way implying it or just asking questions about the Jews. I'm not asking questions about the Jews. I have There's nothing to do with Jews or Judaism. It has to do with the foreign government.
Isn't Israel controlling our foreign policy? That's not about the Jews.
You said, I'm asking you.
And by the way, you're the one that just called me, I think, a sleazy feline. So let's be clear.
It's sleazy to imply that I'm an anti-Semite, which you just did.
No, I just said, why is that the only question you're asking? You answer it. Give me another reason. If you're not an anti-Semite, give me another reason why the obsession is Israel.
I am in no sense obsessed with Israel. We are on the brink of war with Iran. And so these are valid questions.
But you're not asking about Iran or the
If I can finish, you asked me why I'm obsessed with Israel.
Yep.
3 minutes after telling me that when you first ran for Congress, you elucidated one of your main goals, which is to defend Israel.
Yes.
And I'm the one who's obsessed with Israel. I don't see a lawmaker's job as defending the interests of a foreign government, period. Okay. Any government, including the ones that my ancestors come from. So that's my position. That does not make me an anti-Semite. And shame on you for suggesting otherwise. And I mean...
And Tucker's better than me, but I would have had different answers. I do, as a Christian, think that it is insane for us to be defending a country that, full of people who hate Christ. I mean, what is wrong with it? Am I saying something wrong? Well, listen to a little bit of what Candace Owens says. That, freaks people out. It's just I don't know what it is that makes people get so worked up. Of course, I'm just trying to find one. There's so many. All right, here we go.
And that we are the ones betraying Trump for holding him accountable to his promises that he made to us when we voted for him, when we encouraged other people to vote for him. You're pretending that we're the ones that are problematic? This level of gaslighting that's taking place, you got Laura Loomer out there saying, screenshot every tweet that's against Donald Trump. Let me tell you something, sweetheart. You better start capturing Donald Trump's tweets that are going out right now because they seem pretty against Donald Trump's ideas of yesteryear. That's all I'm saying.
So this was in response to what happened as far as with potential war with Iran, which is still on the books. And as much as when it comes to Candace Owens, I will say that I do have other issues with Candace Owens. But again, these are issues that are not at all. When it comes to this, I will always go to bat for her. I will. Because the fact is, you have people who are selling out all the time. And I don't understand how they call themselves Christian and do it. I really don't. So Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens didn't do anything wrong. These people on this little clip here, I mean, this is called the Christian Broadcast Network, and they brought in a Jew who doesn't love Christ, who makes you know, for real, I believe that the Bible is fully perfect, but do not for a second try to remove Christ out of that Bible for a Christian. We are not Jews 2.0. I know that my rhetoric has become very, very deep, hardcore, but I can't. I mean, there's nothing else but Christ, but God. Christ is Lord for me. And I'm leaning into it. And I know it'll be a journey. I've been losing followers, and I don't care. Christ is king. And I'll end with that.